Hey guys, welcome to Dwarvenkegger. I'm Rob, and today we're going to be cooking steak. So it's one of the things that that every person should know how to do if you're a meat eater, if you're a vegetarian. Get off the channel. No, I'm just kidding. We don't care. So you want to start off with a pan, and you want to make sure it's nice and hot. This one is probably too hot, if I'm honest with you.
Don't fuck up my steak.
Okay, listen, woman. So we're gonna take these out. Let me get a plate. We're gonna take these out, and we're gonna season both sides of them. Now I let these go to room temp because it tends to cook more evenly if it's not super cold. So if that makes any sense to anyone, which it should.
Beef.
Beef. So salt and pepper, a good amount of salt and pepper. You're going to get both sides of it. So we're going to flip it over. My nose is running for some reason. Do more salt and pepper. So the important part is to season it pretty heavily because the beef will take on the flavor. Now, I'm not the kind of person that will throw a bunch of different stuff on my meat. I like salt and pepper only. It's really, honestly, it's the best to use. As you can see, it's nice and hot. That oil is about to burn. Where's my fucking thing? Alright, so make sure that oil's on there. So that's, the smoke factor of the oil is actually really nice. That's a really good thing. So we're going to let that go for a few minutes. What we're doing now is we're trying to develop a nice sear on the outside of the steak. So we're going to do that for a little while. We're going to get it nice and hot on the side. We want it to get kind of crusty. Then we're going to flip it over. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. And then we're going to drop in our butter, our Dijon, our Worcestershire, and our garlic. And we're going to baste a little bit. So the meat that we used today was black Angus meat. I'm going to throw this away so you might not follow me too much. It was black Angus meat that we got from Aldi, and it's certified. And this is a sirloin steak. So it's not quite loose. So when you can drag it and it starts to really loosen up, that's how you know that it's got that good crust on it. Like that one's probably about ready. But we made sure this was really hot. So we had this, I had this set on 8 to start with on an electric oven. And then once it was hot enough to where I couldn't put my hand in it, I ended up turning it down to 5, and it's still going to maintain that heat because it's cast iron. You can do this on a grill as well. You want a real hot grill to start with, and you can turn the temperature down. Got a little bit longer. Going to massage that meat like that. Massage that meat. Like, subscribe, hit that little bell at the bottom. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and all of our other fun shenanigans that we do on Patreon and everything else. All that stuff's in the link below. Make sure you check out Justin's Twitch in the link below as well. If you guys have anything you want me to cook, I know I've talked about cooking with some of the alcohol that Tanner has been reviewing. If you guys still want to see that, I'd be more than happy to do it. I had to step on a cat. I hate cats. You know, Tanner and I are open to whatever. If you want to see Tanner do some cooking videos, he'd be more than happy to do that as well. I just, you know, I love to cook. I did it as a profession for the longest time. and it's fun for me, and I hope that you guys also enjoy it. So now we're gonna flip it. See how it's got that little sear on that side? That's what you want to see. So once we let that sear on the other side, then we're going to turn around and we're going to add the butter, the garlic, the Dijon, and the Worcestershire sauce.
What about the beer?
We're not going to add the beer, but I am drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon in a Stella glass. Because...
You mean you're drinking water?
It's not water. It's got a higher alcohol content than Bud Light. Anyway, so we use the the Dijon will go in almost at the very end. So we're going to do butter, Worcestershire, and the garlic, and we're going to baste. So we're going to do a little bit of a basting for it. At that point, at the very end, give it a shake. We got some asparagus going. She's shaking and videoing at the same time. It's very, very nice.
I think it might be done.
Yep, that's ready. All right. So, I need a big spoon. I forgot to grab one. My bad.
Wow.
I know. I'm a bad person. Just a tablespoon, regular, standard. I left my knife kit at work, but I do have a vintage spoon that I like to use. It's an old silver spoon. So I'm going to give this a little shake and see. It's still not released yet, so it's almost ready. It'll be ready very shortly.
Don't overcook my steak.
Oh, I don't plan on it. Don't you worry. All right, now I can actually, now that it's loose, I'm going to go ahead and drop the butter in.
Butter?
The whole thing's going in.
Seriously?
Yep. The whole thing. But the good part about that is that you don't get all of the butter unless you pour out the sauce.
Yes.
She doesn't want to pour the sauce out, but I'm going to.
Wait, what?
I'm going to pour the butter sauce out myself.
On yours?
Since you're not into it.
Well, I mean, I'll have a little, just don't want a lot. It's a lot of butter.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Should have got 2 things of asparagus.
Yeah, I didn't make too much. But we have a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah. And bread. And meat.
So we're going to let this butter melt in. And I'm going to give a nice little scoop of garlic. Pretty good one. And a little bit of this Worcestershire sauce.
But we don't have any, like, rosemary.
Yep. Unfortunately, we did not purchase rosemary today at the store. I'm not really too worried about it. You can see that beautiful color on that steak. Oh, yeah. So this is almost done. This will be very close to done.
All of it?
Yeah.
Assuming you're gonna let this rest.
Oh yeah, you gotta let it rest a little while before you cut it.
Why?
So what happens is when you're cooking something, you're shocking it. You're making it super condensed. So what happens is everything just does this, and it squeezes those juices out of like all of the actual muscle, all that deliciousness, all that goodness, as Gordon Ramsay calls it. When you let something sit, it usually develops those back into itself. So once that's been accomplished and you cut, then you have all that juiciness that's going to be there, and it's not just going to run out on the board. So it's really, really important to make sure that you let everything rest before you cut it.
Terrible noise.
Does that hurt you a little bit?
bread in.
All right. Well, we've got a few minutes to have this rest anyway.
Probably can cut it in half. But only half in the oven.
What, the bread?
Yeah.
Okay. We have really nice bread as well that we're doing today. So we've
Fancy dinner.
So we've got asparagus.
Bam.
We have mushrooms that I took care of earlier that we're going to reheat. And then we have steak, and then we have fancy bread.
It's in the microwave.
I call it fancy bread because it's what it is.
Crusted bread.
Fancy crusted bread. Sprouted grain bread. Whatever that is. You only want half of it?
Yeah.
So now we're going to let it rest. Once it's rested, then I'm going to give it a good cut. Get off! And then I'm going to take this back over. I'm going to put some Dijon in this. Make sure it keeps the heat. That went somewhere. I don't know where, but it went somewhere.
What?
The big splattering of whatever that was. I'm going to mix this in.
Very bad noise.
Sorry.
The worst person ever.
I know. I'm going to let it go down or reduce down a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little splash of whiskey. I'm gonna grab some whiskey.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
Trust me.
Better not taste bad.
We're going to use the single batch.
Don't
barrel
forget the
reserve.
bread. This better not taste bad.
Oh.
You say that.
Well, you gotta let it all reduce out. You gotta let all that alcohol cook out.
So why whiskey?
Because it's, well, bourbon specifically, because it's got an oaky flavor to it, and it really adds another depth of flavor to this.
So what kind of drink would pair well with our dinner?
So with red meat, generally you want to try to do like a red wine. For this particular dinner, I honestly think that a Manhattan would go really nicely with it. Just got to go all in with your hands. Just don't be stupid. Don't be like me. So that's generally what I would use as a nice whiskey or bourbon or a red wine. So that's rested for a little bit. I'm going to turn this off, take it off of the heat, and put it on the back burner. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to give it a little push. Oh yeah, look at that.
Look at all the juice coming out though.
Yep. It's almost ready. I'm going to say that I could probably cut it now. This needs to rest a little longer, but these
small
guys,
ones? Yes.
these guys aren't too bad. So we're going to cut these.
See.
So I would say that's a perfectly cooked steak.
Unless you're weird and like, well done.
In which case, you're not a person. So we'll cut these now so you guys can see both of them.
But we get to eat them, sorry.
Sorry guys, you do not get to eat them. That is us.
If only smells were a thing.
Yeah, you guys would be in heaven. So what I do want to show is that for this meat, 1 second, I'll be right back, dude.
Okay.
Let's take it, just drizzle this over the top of it.
Can see.
Sorry.
It smells boozy.
It's supposed to have a little bit of a boozy smell. And that, guys, is how you cook a steak. High heat, down to lower heat, baste it, let it rest, and cut it. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.